Friday, 10 November, Year of our Lord 2023. I want to thank you. It's the eve of Veterans Day. Of course, tomorrow we have all of our specials. Today is the 248th birthday, day of the birth of the United States Marine Corps, the legendary United States Marine Corps. I want to thank all the Marines who have fought and died for this country, and their families, and all the Marines who have served. In particular in the battles in the Pacific and Iraq and Afghanistan, just unbelievable, the valor and the courage. We're going to get to Phillip Patrick K. O'Donnell in a second. The best combat historian of his generation is going to come on and talk to us about the meaning of Veterans Day. But I got to start with, so Joe Allen, particularly we've launched on 760 AM WENO The Flame in Nashville. You're in Nashville, the Nashville area, twice next week, I think it is. I want to, Joe, tell me where you're going to be, where the talk's going to be, how do people get tickets?
Well, first, for the 14th, November 14th, I'll be at Landmark Booksellers. That's in Franklin, Tennessee, absolutely free. It's a book signing, short talk. We'll be there from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's a fantastic place, very right-friendly. So that's November 14th, Franklin, Tennessee, and then the following day, November 15th, at the Phoenix Lodge in West Nashville, 7 p.m., the central talk of this lecture series. So the tickets are available. You'll have links at the top of my site. You can get tickets at the West Nashville Phoenix Lodge website, and promo code JoeBot, 10% discount.
Give me that one. Where do people go to find the whole tour? How do they find the details on this? Is it up on the War Room site, or Grace and Mo pushing it out? What are we doing here?
Yeah, you want to go to warroom.org. Right under the Transhumanism tab, there is a list of every stop I'll be on, links to the places that will require tickets, and addresses for everywhere that doesn't. You can also find it at the top of my site, joebot.xyz, and of course, at the top of my social media, I'll have it pinned to the top, at JOEBOTXYZ. Nashville, November 15th, Phoenix Lodge. You definitely don't want to miss it if you're in the area.
And why, real quickly, why is that the linchpin? You're saying this is the big one of the central event of your tour. Why is that?
Hometown. Now, not to take away from all the others, and by the way, I was in Indianapolis just 5 days ago, and then 2 days ago in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Huge posse presence there. Fantastic showing. Fantastic people. And so I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, but Nashville is my hometown, and I will have a number of my colleagues, both from the rigging world and the academic world, and also from the media world. So I've got a lot of production capabilities for a fantastic PowerPoint, and the whole thing. Basically, I'm assured to be able to communicate the kind of central message of what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the rise of a techno-religion. We call it transhumanism, post-humanism, singularitarianism, and the corresponding technological developments that have alarmed both you and me and everyone in the posse. Yeah. This is really an inflection point technologically. It will affect every aspect of people's lives, and so I'm trying to condense really the message that we brought on the War Room and the message that I put forward in my book, Dark Eon. So, Nashville is going to be very, very special, and like I say, it's kind of a hometown, so I'm very much looking forward to it.
And Michael Patrick Leahy is going to do an interview a lot. Joe Allen, one last time, your social media, where do people go?
Go to Twitter or Getter at JOEBOTXYZ. You'll have a link to all the dates at the top, all the links to the places that are ticketed. And if you are in the Dallas area, I will be there. If you're in the Kansas City area, I will be there. And then, of course, Los Angeles, December 2nd. If you are in that area, I will be there. Come out, say hi. Everyone has had a fantastic time, and it's been phenomenal meeting everyone from the War Room, especially Mary from Pittsburgh. Big shout-out to Mary.
Mary, and by the way, tremendous feedback from the War Room posse. Joe Allen, thank you. You can go on your ways. I know you're traveling right now, so make sure you arrive safe. Patrick
Yes,
K.
sir. Thank you very much,
O'Donnell, you
Steve.
do every Memorial Day. Thank you, brother. You do Christmas with us on the combat history of Christmas. You do Memorial Day. What is that? Here's what I want you on in the eve of it's observed today some places, but it's really tomorrow. What is the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day? I want to make sure the audience understands these are two distinct commemorations and two distinct holidays. What's the primary difference?
Memorial Day was initially something called Decoration Day, and that was to honor the deceased, the war dead. Specifically, it came out of the Civil War. It was to honor the dead at both sides of the Civil War. And Veterans Day, on the other hand, begins shortly after World War I. It's initially called Armistice Day. It's to honor the veterans of World War I and those that won the Great War. The difference is you're honoring veterans that are alive in all of our wars now. It changes to Veterans Day in 1954 to honor all veterans of all wars rather than the dead, which we honor on Memorial Day.
What is symbolically the Armistice Day? Why? Explain to our audience, why is it the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month? Why is that symbolic and so important in thinking about Veterans Day and Armistice Day?
To end World War I through an armistice. And that day, Steve, is extremely compelling because men from both Germany and the Allies were dying up until the last minute of the 11th day and the 11th hour of the 11th minute in 1918. The United States and its allies in France were engaged in something called the Meuse-Argonne Offensive, which was the largest battle that America has ever been engaged in, over 1 million men. And they were part of an advancing offensive on the Western Front. And they were really the crucial, in many cases, the crucial punch that would knock out Germany's Hindenburg Line and some of its greatest defenses. And their aim was to go towards a place called Sedan. But if we go back to November 10th, 1918, it would be the Marine Corps, who has their birthday today, the 248th, Happy Birthday Marines, that would spearhead one of the last attacks in 1918. They would have to cross what was known as the Meuse River, and this is an epic battle where effectively elements of two regiments, the 5th and 6th Marines, which were attached to the 2nd Division of the United States Army, made an attack across tiny footbridges, which they had to go across hundreds of yards of water, basically in the teeth of machine guns and artillery fire. And that begins on the night of November 10th. And these men are, just intrepid. It's a very sad story, though, how so many of these men lose their lives. Over 1,000 members of the American Expeditionary Force lose their lives on the last day of the war. The Marines cross the river along with other elements of the AEF, and they dig in on the other side, and the Germans counterattack relentlessly with machine guns, mortar fire, and artillery fire. But they're still able to hold this bridgehead. And on the 11th hour of the 11th minute, November 11th in 1918, the guns stop. There's an amazing record that's out there that records the sounds of battle, heavy artillery fire, machine gun fire, all of the din of battle of World War I. And it goes all the way up until that last minute, and then it stops, and there's eerie silence for about a minute or two. It's amazing.
Unbelievable. Patrick, I know you've got a new book coming out next year. Where do people go to get all your writings? You're obviously a favorite of this audience. They devour your books when you come out. Where do they go to get all your old writings and your books, because they're relevant
Steve,
today,
I'm
particularly
really
with Fallujah and those Fallujah coming out. What's the new book?
Called The Unvanquished, and it's on Lincoln Special Force. It's an untold story, and it's also a story about the Shadow War in the Civil War, which is what the OSS in World War II in 1941. We did not have Special Operations Forces. They look back at these men and this untold story that I tell for the first time, both North and South, through written letters that have really been shown for the first time, just thousands of primary sources, to present a book that many people that have looked at it, or some great historians, said it's one of my finest and potentially destined for film or TV. But I'm very excited about this book, and it'll come out in May. People, if you, the War Room audience has been amazing. I had a presentation that I did at Hillsdale College about a month ago, and I met many members of the posse, and just really, it was an honor to meet you, and I'm thrilled. Pre-order the book if possible, and unfortunately, with the indispensables, we had so much demand that we had to do 6 print runs on that book. But you can reach me at patrickkodonnell.com or at Combat Historian on Twitter or Getter.
Okay, brother, we're going to push it. We're going to go to 10 printings on this. This book is very special and a big, amazing story on the Civil War that's never been told, as only Patrick K. O'Donnell can tell them. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve. It's an honor to be on
your show. You're going to Patrick's site, too. Thanks, brother. If you go to Patrick's, you get that book. I think we were one. His book about the Marines at Fallujah, just unbelievable. And that will be, if you see what the Israeli IDF is going through, it's what the Marines in Second Fallujah went through. Do I have the open? Can I play the clip for Phillip Patrick? Oh, we don't have it. I wanted to play the Chinese clip, as I told you before the show. That's okay. Hold on, Phillip. Yellen is in China, or excuse me, she's in San Francisco. Biden is going to go out there and rub up on Xi on Tuesday. Newsweek magazine finally admits, their cover the other day was, they finally admitted that the Chinese Communist Party has been buying gold, their central bank, at record levels in 2022 and 2023. Connect those two dots. Why are we going to kowtow and to try? Because this is the whole thing about coupling and recoupling and bailing out the CCP from their Ponzi scheme in real estate. Although we have commercial real estate that's about to collapse here and take down a number of regional banks. China's been buying gold. The Federal Reserve has been working on a central bank digital currency. Brother, make that make sense to me.
I can't do that. It doesn't make any sense at all. Listen, we know why the Chinese government are buying gold, and it's not because it doesn't suit our interests. But concerningly, it's not just the Chinese government. Last year and this year, the two biggest years for gold buying in central government history. So it's China and governments around the world, but China is certainly spearheading it. 25% of all the central bank gold purchases have been from China. And it's very clear that this is part of a broader move away from dollar-based assets, especially US debt. And it's been going on for a little while. Now, the concerning part is that at a time of geopolitical and financial instability and volatility, it's starting to make sense for the world to move away from the dollar, especially when we consider that the dollar has lost 18% purchasing power since the pandemic began. Now, here in the United States, we call that inflation. Everywhere else, it's just straightforward value destruction. Now, what was interesting is the CCP have come out and officially stated that they've been adding to their gold purchases. It's strange because with China, not all purchases are publicized. In fact, China are already the largest gold mining nation in the world, and most people don't know that because China cannot export domestically mined gold. But by announcing the purchases, I think China is sending a clear message, not just about gold, but about the US dollar as well.
Hold it. Stop. Don't bury the lead, brother. Why can China not export domestically mined? No, this is the punchline. Why can China not export domestically mined gold, brother?
Well, because it doesn't suit their national interest to do it. And you look at what
because they're not, the CCP are not crazy. If you're mining it in here, they always put the CCP, hey, if it's coming out of the earth below the surface of China, it's staying in China, right? They always put themselves first, and that would be a capital crime. You take gold out of China, and you're caught, you're not going to live long. Am I overstating that, brother?
You're not overstating it at all. And look at what we do with our strategic oil reserves. We pump them around the world to drop oil prices marginally. It's absolutely bonkers.
Just go back. I want to know the logic, though. You've seen the BRICS. I mean, we're living in a world, and the audience is now, because we've been doing this long enough, it's starting to, the interconnectivity. You have here, and we've been fighting, we started today, and we love Johnson. This was the audience that made that happen. But we see happy talk and happy feet over the CR next week, and they don't want to shut the government down. They want to keep having it print money and pay this massive deficit. We now, as you and I talked about, Bloomberg finally admitted last week that it's going to be $1 trillion in interest expense, not paying off a penny of principal, which is going to add another $2 trillion of principal, not paying off a penny of principal, just paying down the interest is $1 trillion. At the same time, you have the BRICS nations records in 22 and 23, and now we find out the big reveal is China's leading. 25% of all purchases are the CCP. What message is the world sending about what they think about the financial situation of the American Republic, sir?
Well, this is disastrous, right? And it's important that you put it in the context of domestic spending as well, because I think it's key to the argument. But the reality is this. We're seeing a split globally, right? There's a few reasons that China and half of the world now are buying gold, right? One is the political angle. Look at the financial cancellation of Russia. We booted them off SWIFT. We seized their assets. And what it did was it told everyone in the world that their dollars, what they thought were their assets, could easily become liabilities, right? After China invaded Crimea, Biden sanctioned the nation. China took note. Such a move would have crippled the Chinese economy. It would have been a silver bullet that could have stopped an invasion of Taiwan without bloodshed. But instead, Biden wasted the silver bullet on the vampire. We now have a werewolf in the background putting on a Kevlar vest. So essentially, by weaponizing our dollar, and this is something we've discussed before, we're disincentivizing. Then you have the investment angle, right? China owned a tremendous amount of U.S. debt over the last few years. As interest rates have risen, it's lowering the market value of the debt portfolio, which, by the way, is pretty much what torpedoed SVB back in March. Why on earth would they spend good money after bad? So over the last few years, switching from US government debt has been a very good trade, and China aren't alone. Look at Japan now dumping US debt. They're a strategic ally. Finally, we've got to consider this strong motivation now to replace the dollar as the global reserve currency. China, after all, are the C in BRICS, and we know their aim is to usurp the dollar's dominance, and I think gold purchasing is a first step in doing so. Look, these BRICS nations, we're talking about a common currency, but they don't really need one. These are significant gold-owning nations, adding to their stockpiles, allowing them now to save for the future without, and I think this is important, without subsidizing the US government's attempts to undermine their union, right? So maybe we're seeing a global split now, East versus West, or maybe we're seeing a world realizing that the dollar cannot be a sustainable store of value for much longer. What's concerning is how quickly we've seen this turnaround from the boom of the Trump economy 3 years ago to the bust of a Biden economy. But this is where spending comes in. Right? This is why the debates going on in Congress now are crucial and why we have to control the spending. Look, when the world wanted dollars, the government had it made. It was that allowed us to amass $33 trillion in debt without being crushed by it. But the problem is really simple. When supply rises and demand goes down, not only do we see the dollar's value go down, but we also see the interest payments on our debt go up, right? And as you mentioned before, we're basically at the point of no return already with $1 trillion in debt service payment, and that's right now. As we see the global demand for dollars start to wane, we're seeing supply and demand head in the wrong direction. Supply of dollars increasing through spending, demand coming down. That's a disaster. Let's not forget, pound sterling lost 96% of its buying power since it lost global reserve currency. The US today is on the same path, and it's not a path that we want to be going down. I can tell you that as a certainty. So this is why the spending debates are important. This is why we're in the situation we are. But it's becoming dire, and the Chinese are capitalizing.
Paul Krugman, and who was against us, you remember you and I came out and said, hey, the spending is going to drive inflation on the first tranche of what Biden did to the Republican Senate. They said, no, these guys are wrong. It won't happen. But Piketty and the modern monetary theory guys, they got a big story in Business Week about how this is going to be like the Roaring '20s. It's going to be high inflation, but you're going to have high growth. And these are the leading guys, Piketty and Krugman, that said, hey, the Phillip Patricks of the world and the Birch Golds and Steve Bannon, they're really barbarians because they're talking about something that mankind's left behind. Now we have all these digital currencies, and we're about to have the singularity and transhumanism and all this, that this is a barbaric relic of man's past. If that's the case, the nations, just answer me this, the BRICS nations, and I keep telling people, you know, whether it's sub-Saharan Africa or the Middle East or Latin America, all their guys went to MIT Sloan, went to Harvard Business School, went to Stanford. They all got the HP-12C. They could all run the numbers. They understand the mechanics of modern corporate and international and governmental finance, public finance. Why are they buying gold? Why? So these guys tell me every day, this is a barbaric relic. It has nothing to do in the modern world. Why are the guys that have the resources buying gold at record rates? Just answer me that for this barbaric relic.
I mean, because it's clearly not a barbaric relic, and that's the key, right? It's the reason we mentioned before. If you were holding dollars over the last 3 years, you lost significant buying power. You were holding gold, your buying power increased or maintained. It applies to us. It applies to central governments. On top of that, like I said, you know, these countries holding US dollars, they're starting to view those dollars as a liability. By holding dollars, they're supporting the US government, right? They're supporting the US government in our aim to prevent China invading Taiwan. It doesn't suit their interests anymore. And sadly, it looks like we're being outsmarted. So it's a very, very dangerous trajectory. And by the way, this is not a new story. This is one that has been played out time and time again throughout history. Our leaders should know this, right? It's obvious.
I think the barbaric relic has been a hedge against human nature, which hasn't changed at all. Also, I might add, it particularly for all you guys, and look, we do not give a financial advice here. We give macro. But I will tell you, your advisor and your broker, that old 60-40 that the Wall Street Journal a couple of weeks ago said, hey, maybe that formula doesn't work anymore. The 40% you're supposed to have in government bonds that are totally safe, when you ask your broker, hey, what I can't sell that safe government portfolio I got, market to market, and they come back 50 cents on the dollar because rates have gone up, and you got a long bond you got a 30-year at 2%. All of a sudden, it's hello, what's going on here? And that's what I think that's why people need what I call the still point in the turning world. This is why we're so honored to have partnered with Birch, and we did the End of the Dollar Empire. We've done 4 installments. Patrick and I are working on a 5th right now. But I think that gives a working class and middle class audience. It immerses you in the information about what the prime reserve currency is, what's the history of the politics of currency in our nation, what the debt trap is, what coming off the gold standard under President Nixon. But also just talking to the Birch Gold guys, I think now more than ever, you need to start making contact and saying, hey, I've never thought about gold before as part of my portfolio, but maybe I do it now. Phillip, we've got about 2 minutes. I just want to know, how do people get access to this? How do they get access to your advisors? I want to make sure that right now, because, hey, the turbulence in the world, the geopolitical turbulence, and here at home with the invasion and the financial crisis hadn't even started. You ain't seen nothing yet. So how do people get access to you and your team?
So very simple, birchgold.com/Bannon. Again, .com/Bannon. That's going to give them access to the dollar reports. As we said earlier, history teaches us lessons. I think understanding how we got to the position we are today is going to be really important in understanding where the solutions will come from. Not only that, they can get access to a free guide on how to purchase precious metals within an IRA, outside of an IRA, and they'll have access to a lot of precious metal specialists like myself at Birch that can help sort of hold hand and guide people through. So birchgold.com/Bannon, that'll get you the information. And you can reach me at Phillip Patrick on Getter anytime.
Phillip Patrick on Getter, you can get right to him and go direct message. I also announced, I'm going to put Phillip on the spot for the Chinese summit, or the summit in San Francisco. We're going to get Phillip back on to talk about that on Tuesday. Also, to preview, remember, the government, technically, the regime shuts down on, I think on Thursday, on the 17th. So, Phillip, there's going to be a lot, because remember, we got to drive a stake in the ground and say, hey, shut it down. There can't be any CRs, no games. There's got to be massive cuts. We need to see it. We need to get financial stability. Phillip Patrick, thank you so much. You and the team at Birch Gold have been fantastic. Really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Steve. It's an honor as always.
birchgold.com/Bannon. You get all the free information. Everything's free. You get all the End of the Dollar Empire, plus you get the free info kit. Take your time, immerse yourself. Now you got to get up to the learning curve. Get up the learning curve, because turbulence is ahead. Short commercial break. We're going to be back in the warm in just a moment.
War Room Battleground with Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, I said in leaving Phillip Patrick, and make sure you go to birchgold.com/Bannon. Go check it out today. But we have huge fights coming up. Everybody's got to download the app. If you're going to man the ramparts, this is going to give you operating leverage in the live chat, or you can get directly to Grace and Mo. Grace is going to do a breakout session at the Turning Point Conference from the 16th and 19th of December in Phoenix. Make sure everybody in the region comes. We want the whole War Room posse there like last year. We're going to do shows every day, breakout sessions, seminars, all of it on the app. It gives you operating leverage. These fights we're going to have, and I can tell you right now, we're going to have to be the bad guys. That's okay. I know it's a role that you take. We got to get you're the sanity. You're the head of the creditors committee, so they're not going to steamroll you. But we got to fight. We're going to go. I'm bringing Chris Hoar in right now from the Satellite Phone Store with his specials. But right afterwards, we're going to play. I want to replay because I had such tremendous feedback this morning. That short film of Matt Gaetz of how we got here. And then we're going to end with CNN's interview with clips of McCarthy fighting back. Look, this thing's a long way from over. And don't think McCarthy and these guys don't think about having a restoration. So we have a fight in front of us that's going to be historic. Veterans Day tomorrow is going to be so special when everybody, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have a show, Nothing But Vets. We're going to be on here. We're going to break, talk about films we're doing, talk about some music, all of it. So you don't want to miss this. Chris Hoar, dude, I tell you, I'm so proud we're in partnership with you guys at Satellite Phone Store. Turbulent times. You always come up with specials that help the War Room posse. They all blow out right away. Our audience loves us. What do you got for us today?
Well, Steve, today we're looking at the news coming out of Australia, where Optus, the number 2 carrier, went down, taking 40% of the country with it. So nearly half the country was without cell phone service and internet access for up to 2 days so far. This is a lesson in what could happen here, Steve. As you know, this network in Australia was taken down most likely by cyber terrorists, by bad state actors, the same people who are targeting the U.S. networks, cell phone networks. So what we have at sat123.com is a free satellite phone with activation. Satellite phones work when cell phones go down, when towers go down and the powers go out. This satellite phone that we have is a $1,500 phone. You get it for free with activation. It's just $120 a month, and you get 100 minutes a month included in that, Steve. And this phone is an essential part of your preparation kit. If you don't have communications in your prep kit, then you do not have a complete kit. The satellite phone will work anywhere on Earth, no matter what is going on the ground. So right now, we still have a few phones left, Steve, but no more after this is done. There are no more phones coming to us. So if you go to sat123.com or call us at 941-955-1020, that's 941-955-1020, we will get you a satellite phone by as soon as tomorrow, and free with activation, saving you $1,500. And this phone will make sure that you never lose communication, no matter what is going on. And this could be a life-saving device, Steve.
So hang on, I just want to make sure everybody understands. You're the state-of-the-art $1,500 phone I get for free. I just got to activate. I get a year's activation, but I get all these minutes, and the minutes roll over, right?
That's correct, yeah. 100 minutes roll over if you don't use them every single month. So 6 months in, if you haven't used it, you're going to have 600 minutes to use without any extra cost. And what we've seen is in disasters, people use a lot of minutes. But what we want to make sure is we're not hitting you with that bill when you can least afford it. So check out the phone at sat123.com or give us a call at 941-955-1020. It's 941-955-1020. Steve, when these phones are gone, there are no more left this year. That's it. So we'll be out completely, whatever happens.
Chris Hoar, thank you so much for making these specials available to the War Room Posse. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
Chris Hoar, the Satellite Phone Store. Get on this one. This is not going to, it's a deal. Like you said, you see what's happening in Australia. These services can go down at any time. So make sure that it does not impact you. We're living in a time of turbulence. Remember, we're building a Patriots economy. We're also giving you access to those people that can help you prepare for the worst, hope for the best. I'm very proud of this. This little film will tell you in detail exactly how we got here. That you're the driving force of this. The task we have in front of us is going to be huge, but you're already getting wins. You know, they're talking about bundling the Israel money. They're already talking about, hey, you can't get Ukraine passed unless they got to tie it to border security, which they know is all driven by you. We have so many fights ahead of us. This coming week is going to be huge, but make sure tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, Veterans Day, we're going to get all the news. We're live. We're going to talk about what it means to be a veteran, and particularly what it means to be a veteran today at the beginning stages of the kinetic part of the Third World War. I'm really proud of this. We're going to end it with quite a snarky interview by Kevin McCarthy that shows you he ain't finished. He thinks that, hey, War and Posse might have done this, but this is just an interim step. I'm going to push back. You're now going to see this short film finished by the interview. I'll see you back here 10 a.m. Eastern Time for our Veterans Day special live tomorrow morning.
This is quite a sight to behold. Kevin McCarthy walking up to Boebert and mainly Gates, trying to convince Matt Gaetz to vote yes and not present.
Kevin McCarthy on the brink of the speakership, all in the hands of Matt Gaetz, who is not willing to give it to him.
Did you see Mike Rogers from Alabama?
Mike Rogers of Alabama lunged at Matt Gaetz.
I've never seen anything like this. This is the kind of thing
None of us have.
Republican leader Kevin McCarthy plowed ahead with plans for a House takeover, formally announcing his bid for Speaker.
He needs to hit 218, and there are some Republicans, I'm thinking of Matt Gaetz for one, who have said time and time again they will never vote for Kevin McCarthy.
If you want to drain the swamp, you cannot put the biggest alligator in charge of the exercise.
For the first time in 100 years, the vote to elect a House Speaker has gone to multiple ballots.
On the first ballot, 19 House Republicans voted against McCarthy.
I rise to nominate the most talented, hardest working member of the Republican conference. I'm nominating Jim Jordan.
On the second, McCarthy again failed to get a majority and had 19 Republicans vote for Jim Jordan instead of him. On the third ballot, McCarthy actually lost another vote and had 20 members voting against him. At that point, leaders decided they needed a reset, and now there's a bunch of meetings happening behind the scenes in the Capitol.
The people who are voting against Kevin McCarthy in the Republican conference are aiding Joe Biden, aiding Hakeem Jeffries, and aiding Chuck Schumer.
How can they be so stupid? They're sabotaging conservatives. Who are these Republicans? Who are they? Matt Gaetz.
Gates.
Donald John Trump.
Trump.
Oh, he's enjoyable to watch on TV. He's a very clever debater. Utterly useless.
The principal goal of the people who are objecting to Mr. McCarthy on the Republican side is that we don't believe the rules of this place unlock the potential of all of the members to be able to cast votes on individual bills and to offer amendments on appropriations acts. And we're also concerned about spending that has ballooned our debt and borrowed against the future generations of American citizens. I think this ends one of two ways, Trace. Either Kevin bows out or he essentially has to put on a straitjacket with a rules package that we've presented to him that doesn't allow a lot of discretion for the Speaker of the House.
I hope one thing is clear after this week. I never give up.
I'm thrilled at where the House of Representatives is today. What we negotiated ensures that we will never again have a circumstance like this omnibus spending legislation, because bills will have to comport to a single subject. There will be germanity requirements.
You apparently were able to earn a concession from him that all of the security video from Capitol Hill on January 6th is going to enter the public domain. What do you expect to see in that video?
I'm a believer that transparency answers a lot of questions, and whether there's higher criminal acuity for some, lower criminal acuity for others, releasing that video would be of great interest to many of us on the Judiciary Committee and I think many people throughout the country. We also have a commitment to have a vote on term limits, something that's popular in every zip code in America except Washington, D.C. We have a commitment for a budget resolution to roll back to 2022 spending levels.
Was there anything specific you were asking for in that dramatic end period that we all witnessed?
Yeah, what was at issue in the 14th and 15th vote was the one-person motion to vacate, because a more moderate Republican, Tony Gonzalez, was going to vote against the rules package that ensconced this one-member motion to vacate, a key accountability tool. I was pointing over at where Tony Gonzalez sat to say, hey, McCarthy, you got to let me know that he's alone here and that there aren't 5, 10, 15 moderates who are going to scuttle this beautiful deal that we've put together. McCarthy gave me that assurance, and now I think we're a very strong team looking forward to the legislative work ahead.
House Republicans say they will not back the debt limit deal, saying Speaker McCarthy made too many concessions to the White House during negotiations.
Threat of government shutdown lingers as Congress heads for August recess.
I don't want government to shut down. Leader Schumer had the same commitment that I had. Let's get this work done, and let's try to get it done before September 30th.
Lawmakers are scheduled to break for their traditional August recess even before August.
I rise today to serve notice. Mr. Speaker, you are out of compliance with the agreement that allowed you to assume this role. We have had no vote on term limits or on balanced budgets as the agreement demanded and required. There's been no full release of the January 6 tapes as you promised. You boasted in January that we would use the power
of the purse and the power of the subpoena to get the job done.
8 months later, and we haven't even sent the first subpoena to Hunter Biden. Power of the subpoena and power of the purse. Only thing the 118th Congress is known for at this point is electing Kevin McCarthy Speaker and underwriting Biden's debt. And unfortunately, there's only one of those things we can remediate at this time. Power of the purse. Mr. Speaker, dust off our written January agreement. Begin to comply or face a motion to vacate the chair.
The effing motion, the challenge from House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, behind closed doors, practically daring his Republican colleagues to try to oust him from the Speaker's chair.
In response, Gaetz had his own words back to the Speaker. He said, how about this? How about just move the effing spending bills?
Matt's mad about an ethics complaint.
That is an abject lie from a sad and pathetic man.
If somebody wants to make a motion against me, bring it. There has to be an adult in the room.
I don't think the adult in the room would lie to House conservatives, and that is exactly what Kevin McCarthy did.
You guys all counted me out. I'm Speaker. I'm the 55th Speaker of the House.
The one thing Democrats, Republicans, the White House, that we all have in common is that Kevin McCarthy at one point or another has lied to all of us.
Are you expecting Democrats to back you up then?
No, I personally am not.
The gentleman will state the form of his resolution.
Resolved that the office of Speaker of the House of Representatives is hereby declared to be vacant.
The clerk may call the roll.
Biggs. Yay.
What is going on? Are we redefining what conservative is?
Buck. Yay.
What's going on in this country today? What's going on in this body?
Burchett. Yay.
And all of a sudden my phone keeps sending text messages. Oh look, give me money. I filed the motion to vacate.
Crane. Yay.
It's disgusting. It's what's disgusting about Washington.
Gates. Yay.
I take no lecture from those who would grovel and bend knee for the lobbyists and special interests who own our leadership, who have, boo all you want.
Good of Virginia. Yay.
Under Kevin's speakership that lasted 15 rounds of him never giving up, this Republican majority has exceeded all expectations.
Mace. Yay.
Then we definitely need higher expectations.
Rosendale. Yay.
The yeas are 216. The nays are 210. The office of Speaker of the House is hereby declared vacant.
So I may have lost a vote today, but as I walk out of this chamber, I feel fortunate to have served the American people. I will not run for Speaker again. I'll have the conference pick somebody else.
96% of the Republicans voted for McCarthy. 4% decided they were so morally superior. They're traitors. All 8 of them should in fact be primaried. They should all be driven out of public life.
You think I'm paralyzing the House of Representatives? What's paralyzed the House of Representatives has been the failure of Speaker McCarthy. So this represents the ripping off of the Band-Aid.
Did Matt Gaetz hurt the party by ousting Kevin McCarthy?
It depends. I mean, it depends on how good the new speaker, whoever that may be. Maybe we'll end up with one of the great speakers of all time, in which case Matt Gaetz did a tremendous favor.
Tell me if you've heard this one before. House Republicans struggle to find a speaker.
So are we seeing the same movie again?
Majority Leader Steve Scalise is put forward by the party. He doesn't have enough votes. He pulls out. Jim Jordan now loses 3 ballots on the floor. He pulls out.
There were jokes for Emmer that third time was going to be the charm, but it was not.
What now?
Mark Molinaro said, look, why don't we just take a poll to see where people stand on the guy who came in second to Emmer, who was Mike Johnson. Guess which member objected? Kevin McCarthy, because he hadn't quite figured out how he could scuttle and sabotage Mike Johnson. Then McCarthy inspired a write-in campaign to get people to vote for McCarthy. And McCarthy got these 43 votes. And so Johnson said, well, if we've got 43 people still voting for McCarthy, let's have a roll call. Let's see if those 43 members will stand up and say they still want McCarthy back. And those 43 votes, when we went to a roll call, withered to nothing.
I'm honored to have the support of my colleagues, and what they understand about this is servant leadership. America is the last best hope of man on the earth. Abraham Lincoln said it, Ronald Reagan used to remind us all the time, and we're here to remind you of that again. Democracy is messy sometimes, but it is our system. This conference that you see, this House Republican majority, is united.
Gates. Johnson. McCarthy. Johnson.
The Honorable Mike Johnson is duly elected Speaker of the House of Representatives for the 118th Congress.
The challenge before us is great, but the time for action is now. I want to say to the American people on behalf of all of us here, we hear you. Our mission here is to serve you well, to restore the people's faith in this House, in this great and essential institution.
I made all of you a promise that we would have a Speaker of the House who was more conservative and more honest. And we got our guy. It was so touching to see this man of God talking about how we can fulfill America's great vision together. And it is an America First vision. It is a strong America vision, and one I definitely share.
Matt Gaetz, you've been mentioning a lot. How much would the Republican Party benefit if he were no longer a member of the House, in your opinion?
Oh, tremendously. I mean, people have to earn the right to be here. And I just think he'll admit to you personally, he doesn't have a conservative bent in his philosophy and just the nature of what he focuses on.
Do you think the House GOP should consider expelling him?
Look, that's up to the conference, but I mean, I don't believe the conference will ever heal if there's no consequences for the action.
What about them surprised you, Burchett and Mace?
It just didn't, it seemed out of nature, but they seem to have changed during the time. They care a lot about press, not about policy, and so they seem to just want the press and the personality.
Do you think Mace will have a difficult time winning re-election now?
Yeah, I don't, well, not because of this. I mean, if you've watched her, just her philosophy and the flip-flopping, I don't believe she wins re-election. I don't think she'll probably have earned the right to get re-elected. I think that you look at the district herself, yeah.
So in response, these members shooting back at the former speaker, Matt Gaetz saying, quote, thoughts and prayers to the former speaker as he works through his grief. And I asked Nancy Mace about all this too. She said that she stands by her vote. She attacked McCarthy for, quote, lying all the time to her. And also Tim Burchett, who said that former Speaker McCarthy is, quote, just bitter. And he said that he says, quote, he'll enter into a successful job in lobbying. So you're seeing, Dana, that no love lost here with the former speaker as he is adjusting to this new role as a rank and file member, someone who is not in the room, not dealing with a potential crisis, a government funding crisis. One, of course, that ended his speakership not too long ago when he relied on Democratic votes to advance a short-term spending bill, but making very clear that those 8 Republicans are still fresh on his mind. Dana.
And will be for a long, long time. Great stuff. Thank you so much, Manu. Appreciate it.